She keeps my schedule. Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, Diane.
Good morning. Yeah, look at that. Oh, look out. Striping up.
Animal print.
Hey, check it out, boy.
We're already live online.
Oh, hey, Buffalo, Western New York, and points beyond. You know how we do it here, real good. And like I say, it's like medicine over the air, and if we take it, we're going to get well. Listen, we got one of the candidates who's running for mayor, and if you checked out the Facebook page, and you probably have, hopefully, James Payne. He's an educator. He's a community activist and leader, and is no stranger to the community. And we're going to be talking to him while we can, because I know he's flashing through as all candidates are doing. And he got someone with him, and I'm just going to tell you, Diane, you get a chance to say something along the way, I'm sure. And of course, listen, it don't happen. It does not happen if we do not have Latasha in the house. So all of us happy. I know us two sitting at the mic is real. We sitting at, us three that'll be at the mic. We're feeling real good. And how you, Austin?
I'm pretty good today. I had a week off last week, so I'm glad to be back. I got a good guest. We're talking about something that's important to me. And I feel not to even pull the conversation too far, but I feel like when I see not average, but I see community members stepping up and trying to grow and benefit themselves. I was just telling someone at work today, it's a privilege for me as a young person to see that, because it allows me to understand that when you see a problem, you get up and do something about it. You don't just keep talking about it forever. So I'm excited for the show today.
Hey, man, look, he already lit. I'm telling you, this all good. And listen, I'm sure Murray will be joining us at some point shortly. A lot of time, you know how I like to say on show, he's out working on a story. Well, he may be doing that, but I know he's on his way. So we'll be joined by him. And with all that said, people, listen, you got time to call someone, text someone. You know how you do it. Tell them they need to get in. And if you got a question for the candidate while we have them, call us at 716-837-1112 and stay on topic. When you call, you're not running. Just so ask your questions, stay on topic. I just mean that lovingly, because sometimes, we can waste time. I don't mind hanging up, but if I hang up, you know why I'm hanging up. Okay. With that said, let me just say, welcome, Mr. James Payne, candidate for the mayorship of Buffalo, New York. Indeed, it's a pleasure to have you, and I know people are interested and want to know more. So I'm going to turn the mics over to you by letting you tell us why. Tell us some things about why you're running, what this candidacy means. You can talk to us about what is the need that is lacking. You can give us a whirlwind, however you want to come.
Yes, first I'm going to say thank you for allowing me to be here this morning, share my perspective and relationship to running for mayor, city of Buffalo. First, I want to point out that I am an educator, have been an educator for quite some time now. I've run a community-based organization, used to work for Save the Children Federation, also for the Georgia General Assembly under the leadership of Julian Bond. I'm running for mayor because there are a multitude of problems
Mhm.
that take place within the city of Buffalo,
Yes, indeed.
and that our problems as a collective community should not be put on the back burner in order to advance downtown Buffalo. I believe that the east side of Buffalo should be considered within the equations in terms of developing this city. And I believe for a very long period of time, even before the past mayor, that the city of Buffalo has continued to ignore the conditions of people of color and poor people. And I think that it is essential and important that we be a part of this discussion in terms of changing the dynamics in a process that's been followed in the past
You got that right.
in terms of elevating our community and its people.
Indeed. You know, a couple of things happened over the weekend, and which I plan to be talking about. We're going to be talking about later in the show. I know you had to go to one of the meetings. I don't. See, it's always hard. I want to leave you out of that discussion because people be saying, "Oh, he said," or "they said," but the young people, there were young people there, there were other people there who was trying to get into this meeting that the Democrats were holding and weren't allowed. And one of the problems was nobody had any information about, the broader community, no real broad invite telling them or giving them any instruction. And the question that many of them have, why come into the community and then not let the community in? And is this you come into the community to a place as part of the clubhouse? Because there were other people there who weren't committee men, who weren't in any elected position, and the question how they get in. So you probably hear some of that. We may even get a call because people are outraged. I know the young people are, and the report has many more folks upset. And then, some of the people in there who were from the community that's supposed to be somewhat of an activist or spreading information said nothing, haven't heard from them, have no indication why they were in there. They ain't no committee person, or are they? And then one of the other things that is getting ready to happen is I'm running off, but I just want you to know what's going on outside. There was question about who are these committee people. Only time the committee people get mentioned when it comes to giving some kind of impression that they represented in the community, and the community don't know who the hell they are. Where do they get their information from? It sounds like a club, and that's all it is a club, because not representing people. Those are some of the things that were being expressed about that event. And
First, I'm for transparency in every aspect regarding this particular process. I had campaign workers that were outdoors that desired to be in there in a meeting, to be supportive and to listen to all the candidates. I spoke with the chairman of the Erie County Democratic Party, Jeremy Zeller, and he explained to me that only committee members, Democratic committee members, were allowed to attend that particular meeting because it was a meeting that was focusing on the endorsement of the Democratic Party. And those committee members are the essential cadre that work towards the advancement and development of the party. Certainly, I was disappointed that others were not invited and couldn't get in, um, especially my people. After I saw a crowd of committee people for each particular candidate, I definitely wanted my supporters to also be in there also. But sometimes you have to go with the flow.
right, you don't have no control over that.
Absolutely. And I wanted to be there to express the importance in relationship to advancing the east side of Buffalo and the problems that are pervasive within our community.
Before I give it to Murray, who's in with us now, I would also say on that it puts those who are running for position in an awkward situation because we're really in a moment now where, as you pointed about transparency, these parties and other clubs need to stop with this so-called meeting. And what's so striking about it is so-called committee people who were there to vote on a candidate haven't even spoken to the people of their community. People in the community don't know who the heck they are. And they're going to call out and make a decision that's going to have an effect on their community. Hey, look, community, you don't need nobody tell you that you need to do something about it. And we need a change of the guard in these, whatever this committee thing, because it sounds like, or if you're on the committee thing, is that they recognize that they work for the party, not for the community. And what they do is not necessarily a victory for the community, it's a victory for the party. And they're not going to pull forward the things that we want, because if they were, we wouldn't see stuff like this going on. That's all I want to say on it. But Murray, you got the mic over there.
Welcome, Mr. Payne. How you doing, sir?
Thank you.
So let's get to the point. When you have a community event or a forum going on, and it's a second one, not the first one, and the community is not invited, that sends off a red flag. We brought our youth there to understand how things was going, and got denied access in. So these are young folks, Austin, a little bit younger than you, but now they feel a certain type of way. They say they talked to some of the candidates, and they thought that the candidates would go up and speak on their behalf to say, allow them into this thing. So I get what they saying, private meeting. Mr. Howard called me as well and explained it. I get that point. But when we send a youth to go and find out what this stuff is about elections and to get them shunned away, that sends off red flag. We just had the same thing just happen with this election. On TikTok, that's how Donald Trump won with the youth. He won because young people had opportunity to see what was going on. Now we're doing the same thing with our youth here in the city of Buffalo.
I would raise it even higher.
Yes, sir.
You know why? Because the things that are on the ballot that are going to make a change are the things that are going to affect their future. And I'm sure they have some thoughts about their future, even if they can't vote. That's part of our problem. We keep people dumb of the voting and electoral system until we get them to the point of where we want them and need them. Then we want to make them feel guilty if they don't. And the reality is we've been cutting them out until we want them to do something for us. Let me just also say, Brother Payne, Mr. Payne, we don't interrupt the course of this, but we're gonna have you back. But we'll continue on in the flavor.
Sure. Let's talk about structural change.
Mhm.
Let's talk about structural change. The young people that are interested in knowing the perspective and the views of the candidates may have to do something different. They may have to pull together collectively and have a forum that addresses the issues within the community.
Exactly
Yeah, that
what
happening
we
right now.
planning
Yes.
now.
That they are concerned about. Because one of the things that's important is that the money generates the conversation and the agenda, and it dictates the direction in which parties go in and particular candidates. So no one is going to allow a community to come in and actually and clearly understand what they have done historically
Mm.
in relationship to perpetuating the level of deprivation and poverty in the city of Buffalo. And if young people in the community would have been in that particular arena, that venue, then they would understand why I'm saying that it is very critical that there is an East Side agenda that's inclusive of poor people, because the conditions that I'm expressing will never be addressed until people within the community fully understand the implications. The majority of concerns in regards to the development of Buffalo is centered on downtown Buffalo. Discussions were centered on when people were talking about their boats and their yachts. People were talking about building downtown Buffalo.
So this was in a committee meeting, basically, what took place today. Well, yeah, a couple of days ago.
Yes.
Saturday.
Yes. And I understand, and I'm not mad at any particular candidate, because I understand you're going to represent and echo the very voices of the people that are paying for your campaign. You represent a cadre of people that's not like us.
Right. Like the song started off.
So as a result of that, they're not inclined to address the level of relative deprivation on the east side of Buffalo. They're not talking about the significance of job training and education on the east side of Buffalo. Now, you heard some people allude regarding the system of education, but they ain't about that life. I'm the person that has been teaching in excess of 25 years regarding the Buffalo public school system. I'm the person who have traveled throughout the city of Buffalo taking students to HBCUs. I'm the person who has been engaged in after-school programs in terms of strengthening our community.
Okay.
So that discussion only becomes relevant during the times of election.
Okay.
My question and concern is, where have you been at prior to now? What have you done, like Shaka Khan would say, what have you done for me lately? And people make promises to the community and have these elongated discussions in terms of how concerned they are. But the reality is they are not. That's not them. That's the political jargon that continues to manifest itself within the city and throughout the community that deprives us of economic opportunity and development. We're in a situation here in Buffalo, in the third most segregated city, the seventh most poor city. We're in a situation in the city of Buffalo that if you continue to replicate the same thing over and over and over, we're going to get the same results over and over and over.
And this generation ain't going for it.
I hope not.
No, that was actually going to be, and this is why I was excited for this conversation today. I feel like being an educator, right? Being on that side, being like boots on the ground, actually seeing what's going on, just gives you a different perspective that when I'm coming on this highway out from Orchard Park every day, like I don't know what's going on really in Buffalo. Or when I'm going from downtown to my house, wherever,
Yes.
you know, I don't really know what's going on in the city. And so my first question I actually literally had was like, how do you stop the machine? Like with this system being so built into Buffalo, with us being such a segregated city, with us having such a history of this like unjust or unadvancing treatment where like the city just seems very stagnant, with this being our history, not just for the last little bit, but for a while, how do you stop something that's so ingrained in the city that is so systematic? And I think it is exactly what you're saying, is saying we have to first be realistic enough to understand that power and attention goes where the money goes. Let's not act like people are doing these things just because they're going where the money is. And we have to start from that approach to say, knowing that that's what it is, and that's where the power is right now, what can we do in our position, like you said, whether that be organizing young people together? How do we condense and concentrate our energy and our effort and resources to make these changes effectively? I think a lot of people or candidates that I've heard, it sounds good. Like you said, it always sounds good. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's nothing about it that's like, oh, that's real. That's real. Like, oh, that's honest as to what's going on. And yes, there are times where you're going to be in environments where you don't have the power to just say, bring those young people in. Because even if they would have spoken on it, if it's not your event, I ultimately can't just say, oh, we're going to change the format of the event. But I think having that second level conversation to say, though that event we couldn't control, what can we do differently in the future, is a lot more of what I want to hear from a candidate than just saying this is the way that things are. Because I think a lot of young people are separated or so disenfranchised from politics, because I always say this, you got to look at the rhetoric that we've heard. Maybe some of you guys were around in the time in politics when the country really did seem like it was going best for its people, when politicians really were trustworthy, when police really were trustworthy. Maybe that's the time that you guys grew up in, or the rhetoric that you heard from your parents. But since I've been young, all I've heard is the government don't care.
Mhm.
Since I've been young, all I've heard is the way that things are. And so when this becomes so normalized, it's refreshing to hear a candidate who's saying, number one, I understand what's going on from an honest perspective, but number two, that we can really make systematic changes to address it. And a question I would like to ask you, kind of similar to that, is with a city that is so uninformed, I believe one of the biggest problems with my city is that we have a bad relationship with information. It seems like if it doesn't support what we already believe, we don't want to hear it. How do you get a city informed? How do you get a city engaged that's been so used to not?
Good question. Buffalo is purposely, the African American community is purposely misinformed and disembogled. We have a significant leadership void within our community. Significant leadership void within our community. What has to take place is that educating outside of institutions that don't reflect our particular perspective and ideology, that we should be on a continuous basis educating at our churches, at our house of worship, at our community centers, at home, in every venue that we have within the city of Buffalo. We should use those as mechanisms in terms of changing the system as it currently is. And that takes time, takes a lot of time, and it's a lot of work. But the reason why things move in the direction in which it does here in the city of Buffalo is because we have to be able to define the difference between a moment and a movement. And a lot of times we are involved in moments because a movement requires particular systematic organizing and a discipline of a cadre of people that reach and expand the center of a cadre of people. That we have to be disciplined in relationship to our message and our actions in order to allow our community to become transformational. We also have to have some sense of purpose and understand the significance in terms of who we are as a collective body of people. The masses of our people should be driving our agenda. The people should define who their candidates are for public office. The litmus test for any candidate within our community should be, what have you done prior to engaging in a particular process? So if you're coming on board and you're talking about changing the conditions in our community, my question is, what have you done up until now that lend credibility to your efforts and your endeavor?
So the shakeup comes. Go ahead, Mr.
Go ahead. Well, we got a call. I want to get him in. Caller, you're on the air. Welcome. Start again, caller.
Hello?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
Excellent. Listen, I'm, one of the persons who attended that after session.
You're a committee man?
People hosted that gave away their feeling about being denied opportunity to access the means to be able to have influence, to have an effect on the process. And they were shunted. And what that shunting has done is revealed that those persons who were sitting in one seat claiming that they're representing their interests didn't bother to even want to be informed of what that interest may or may not have been. So how could they have any confidence that their issues or concerns or even their very presence would matter at all? I don't think there's a single solitary dime being spent in the city with respect to the city hall, or in my case, City Hall, and the Buffalo Public School System, which is basing up over $1.5 billion every year. And you don't have 5 seconds or 5 minutes even to allow about 8, 9 young people an opportunity to even observe. Nobody was demanding the right to speak. No one was demanding the right to be able to support a candidate or not.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you. Are you a committee person by any chance?
Hell to the no.
Well, let me dig it. Look, see, this is one of the things about having about who got in and who didn't get in that makes this so not suspicious, so incredibly insult. And you know, I said earlier, look, everything in politics now here in the city is setting the path for the young people. It's not for the old people. Oh, in fact, some of the old people in there blocking, and they're in our community. So I mean, what those young people have helped to expose, and folks like Austin here have shown that there's a big disconnect. So that means the older population and those who think they know something about politics been shucking and jiving and fronting.
Long time.
And now we don't have the evidence to pull together a cadre to show that we pulled together a cadre of young people and allow them to understand what the system is doing on their behalf. Not only are they the bearers of the new knowledge, the new skills, and the new energy, in fact, this world belongs to them. Who are you fighting for? If you were not fighting to make the future better for them, who are you fighting for? And in that case, if you haven't talked to them and their parents and those in the community who helped raise them, who are you fighting for? And it's just like you said, those in the room.
Those who are feeding them, that's who they're fighting for. And the continuation of their corn from wherever that it is derived, that's what they're fighting for.
What do you think?
They're just using this young people or old people or, you know, forums for the sole purpose of continuing to provide for themselves.
Well,
that's not rocket science.
No, it's not rocket science. And so then the question and wonder becomes back to the people. Because what these are going on, then why aren't our people? No, it's not a question. It's a demand. It's for all of us. Look, no matter whether I'm on radio or wherever I'm at, I'm always in the mode of organizing, informing, and helping to push and pull people forward. And I'm saying if
that may be your position.
Say again?
That may be your position, that your calling to pull and push and move forward. But if you're being obstructed by one of the most major of means by which you can accomplish that goal,
what would that be? The only thing it takes from us is the will and the mindset to put together a plan. You know, a wall don't come down unless you attempt to hit it. If you're not attempting to hit it,
listen, you have a wall, but you may have to go around it.
I accept that, and what I'm saying, it's what I'm saying, and I'll give up the mic to the rest of it. What I'm saying to you, I understand the wall. The wall, as long as there's an obstruction, will be dealt with. And part of doing that, part of organizing and having a group is to bring the mindset into play as to what is the best way to conquer the wall. And it may be we create a path around. It may be that we create some kind of leap over or right through the wall. I'm not arguing about that. But what I'm saying to you, the presence of the people being called together. I would invite you to be ready for particularly on February 27th, because the young people, the same young people that were denied interest, is creating a door for the whole community for a real community candidates night. Yes. And all the candidates will be invited, and they ain't gonna be sending 1,000 messages. Mm-hmm. They're gonna be a knock on the door, a direct call. You know, look, you know, we're gonna have this, and we're gonna have a lot of young people in there. So I'm just saying, don't worry. Your contribution.
Listen. Let me say this to you, my brother.
Yeah.
I was at the sit-down breakfast with those young people that made for that 27th forum to be are calling on our community to engage our young people to start today to form that forum, that set an agenda, to have who's going to be able to provide what.
Well, I'm telling you,
Okay,
yeah.
that's my point about calling you today.
Okay, I hear you, but but let me tell you this. You got it, but listen, there's always a steering organizing core to set the table. You don't just call people to the table. Who got the responsibility of setting it and ensure what's on the table is there? So I'm going to shut up because we got to go to a break. But I thank you for stirring up the conversation. It's a community conversation, and more power, keep the faith, and keep the pressure on. We got to go to a break, and we'll have some more show.
We're still live with videotaping going on right now.
Yes,
sir.
Yeah.
So when we go back on the air, Mr. Payne, I'm just going to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
You all right? I know that's your look. You know, you just so wow. You know, it's a cool manner.
You got a smack look.
No, this is him all the time. I mean, you know.
Swap lines.
But
yeah.
Question about community organizations. Like one time we had your grassroots, your unity, and there was your major players in how votes went down through our city of Buffalo at one time. Now only one is basically around is unity, which controls the committee chairs and all that there with Howard and the rest of them in there. So it's time for a new, I used to say it's time to trim the grass. It's time for some type of new community-based group to come up to say, now let's get people aware of the vote, who to vote for, and going from there. What do you think about that?
A community-based group that has the consciousness and relationship to the conditions within their community. A community group that is not directly tied to any particular party, but tied to the community.
Right.
Each one of those particular groups you just described were always relying, their existence was contingent upon their association with the Democratic Party. So therefore, they were not necessarily assets to our community, but more so deficits, because they turned around.
We're back, and the conversation
and
is still
articulated
going,
the ideology.
and I'll bring you on the
people that
catch up,
ignored
tell
our
you what it
tradition for
is
years.
about what the
Centuries.
difference is
That's
to
right.
those who are rolling with the party and don't seem to be rolling with the community. And that is what was basically being said, is remember that those folks who are doing party work, they're doing their job. That's what they're really doing. They're doing party work. It'd be no different, folks, if you in your house decided to send the members of your family out to pull people together and lay a direction on them. That's what they'd be doing. And since they're getting a little plus to it, might be some kind of compensation. I don't know if it's money or special interest or what, but I'm telling you, that is who they do the work for. And I gotta say, did you say Howard? Is that Howard Johnson?
Yes, sir.
And Howard Johnson, you ain't said that. He ain't said, but he ain't never said. I don't know Howard Johnson ever give any kind of instruction about how the committee people work and so on. And here he is flowing. This is what I'm saying. In a way, they're no different than a gang. Who they working for?
But the thing is this: they're organized.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then we got to organize to take over those positions.
When you organize, you're able to set your own agenda. That's why I'm saying that the community in which we live in has enormous difficulty and problems in terms of being able to collectively organize around issues that have very serious implications to each and every one of us. And unless you become organized and less emotional, we'll continue to deal with the kind of pervasive conditions in which we're dealing with.
So you're absolutely right. Yeah, I keep jumping in. I'm not allowed to jump in. Diane, I'm looking for you to hit the mic at some point. Okay, I'm just shutting
So my question is,
Leave it alone.
because you're running for mayor of the city of Buffalo, and we know there are so many different groups or organizations or ethnic backgrounds in the city of Buffalo, what is your plan for the whole entire city of Buffalo? Not just the east side of Buffalo,
Yes.
but the whole entire, because this is one of the reasons when you're running for this position, whether you be Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, whatever party, you're in a battle right now with over almost 10 candidates in the race. And I'm like, what is your mission besides just the east side of Buffalo?
And a lot of money.
And a lot of money.
And a whole lot of money.
So we don't need money if we do it right.
No, you need money.
You need money.
You think so?
You always need money.
Sir, you need money.
Okay, well, let me know. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, as a mayoral candidate.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
This is my perspective.
Mhm.
The east side is an integral aspect of this community. And if Buffalo as a city is going to prosper, then certainly we want to enhance the east side of Buffalo. 70% of African Americans in the city reside on the east side of Buffalo. 40% of the working age individuals between 16 and 64 reside on the east side of Buffalo. In the city of Buffalo, the community that has been ignored continuously can play a significant transformational role in relationship to the whole city. Also, the Buffalo today is not the Buffalo of 1955, 1965, or even 1975. So therefore, you have a high percentage of diversity that existing within the city of Buffalo.
Yes.
And I believe that people of goodwill throughout the city desire to see transformational change taking place within the city. And people understand, and I've heard a lot of people, even though I've walked through South Buffalo recently. I went to South Park High School.
I went there too.
So it made
Alumni.
me easier
Alumni.
to
Yes.
be able to walk through
Yes,
and get some of my old friends to walk through with me. And the question is continuous. Why did we allow the east side of Buffalo to fall in such a state of deprivation? And then it's always someone pointing out, and you had a black mayor.
But I'm saying to you, I hear the east side thing. We got the west side as the mayor, as running for the mayor of the city of Buffalo. What's your vision besides just the east side?
My
Give me some of
vision
that.
is to help to elevate the east side of Buffalo.
You went back
And
to
the
east side.
same,
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep talking about it too.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You're gonna hear
Okay.
some more.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about elevating the east side of Buffalo in the same fashion that we've done on the north side, on the south side, and on the west side of Buffalo.
Okay.
And you cannot elevate this city
Economic development,
without
that, right?
the bulk of community development block grant
There you
money
go.
is paramount upon the conditions of poverty.
Mhm.
The highest level of poverty in the city of Buffalo is on the east side of Buffalo.
But you're running for.
But you have taken,
Yes.
you have taken dollars that are designated towards the east side and developed downtown Buffalo and all of the other districts.
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna jump in. I'm right with you because I'm saying if you can't pick up the east side, then you don't need to worry about the west. You can't do nothing over there
But
either.
as a mayoral
can't-
candidate, you have to think about the whole entire city of Buffalo in your plan. And if you just go and just saying east side, you're limiting your opportunity to get votes from South Buffalo, North Buffalo, and the west side. That's all I'm saying.
First, and I also think that that's true. But look at what happens when you just try to make everybody happy. You end up like Kamala. You make everybody happy. You don't win.
But
What
Buffalo
you stand for? Then
mayoral
we'll say, as people in Buffalo will cry about the east side of Buffalo,
Mhm.
and then you get a pro east side candidate. We want to talk about everything but the east
So you
side.
don't
So I'm
think
saying
it's
that
gonna
to
happen
say
like that? You don't think the people on the west side said all I'm hearing is him talking, not just you, but some others as well, only talking about the east side of Buffalo. In this campaign, in this race right now, it's the city of Buffalo. It's not just the east side of Buffalo. It's the whole entire city of Buffalo. That
But
we
the-
have
but
to.
the
But
o- but the
if
only-
your message is only based
The
on the
only
east side,
message, the
Sound
only,
like y'all-
the
sound
only
like-
opposition I've heard in relationship to my advocacy for the east side of Buffalo
Mhm.
is from the people who live on the east side of Buffalo.
oh,
When I'm in South Buffalo, they're asking me, how come our conditions are this way? And to my surprise, they're telling me, I'm with you. And when I'm on the north side, I went to a place called West Side Bazaar last
Yes,
week. Second time ever going there.
nice place.
And I'm listening to people over there talk, and they're saying, you're right. If you're going to deal with the problems in the city of Buffalo, You must address the problems that are existing on the east side of Buffalo. And all of these problems, all of these communities are not the same. And they're not funded the same.
Right.
And they're not
I
treated
respect
the
that.
same.
I think I was going to say it sounded like y'all in the same arena, just different seats. And because, and the point that Austin was making that I thought was, again, right on point, is recognize he's not dismissing any area, not downplaying it, but he's saying anybody running, you look at the donut hole. You can't talk about being even Steven with everybody when that part that's in the donut hole need more than everybody else.
Absolutely right.
And if everybody else is doing fine, they could do along with a little less. But there's an attitude that is their right to keep getting when they don't need, and it shows an uncaringness about where the donut hole is.
So as a meritorial race,
sure.
as Mr. Payne, you running for mayor, your focus basically, or your first call to action duty will be to make sure that the east side get what they need.
My call
Right.
of duty is to make sure that the city of Buffalo is growing and developing, prospering, and pulling up the weak link in order to help level the conditions throughout the city.
Yes, sir.
And I think as a result of the problems that exist within particular communities, anyone with a level understanding and a clear mind understands that businesses that will come to Buffalo, they will be pulling from all communities throughout the city of Buffalo. And they want to know the kind of citizens that we have in each particular aspect.
See, I bring the shake-up part to the Jim Anderson show, so it's not you know.
Okay, but I'm not shook.
No, I never you. I'm just telling you what I'm saying. What I'm glad you're not shook because overall, because these are some of the questions that is pushing out there that people are asking, and I'm grateful that you came here as a candidate.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I'm saying to you is these are the questions that I get that I push on this show.
Yes, sir.
And I respect how you coming at it because it's not a fight.
Not
It's
at
just how
all.
this is what we do. You alumni anyway, but I know you for what you have done in the community. But the thing is, for the meritorial race, how many candidates is in the race so far? Do you know?
I saw a new person
Yes.
I knew that too.
last week.
For the
But-
Green Party or something.
But that's okay. That's
Right.
okay. Because I think that you define the candidates based upon the nature of the agenda and based upon what they're saying in terms of elevating the city of Buffalo and the people within the community.
So it's an endorsement that's been ready to take place. This is what I just noticed what took place this
Yes,
weekend. It was an endorsement thing. Meet the candidates, Democratic Party. We're going to pick who we're going to want to go with. Now, we know we have a person that's in office right now. That's a Democrat. I don't know who they're going to pick, but it seems to me that, I would have thought that they would go with the person that was in office, but it seems like there might be some type of shakeup going on somewhere because they don't know who's going to be the candidate for the Democratic Party, who they going to back.
No, that's not my problem. My thing is this.
Yes, sir.
I am a progressive Democrat, and I cannot separate my experiences from this particular process. And I've said several times already, this is not a secret. My influences are not from Buffalo. Although I'm from here, my influences are not from Buffalo. My influences is people that I've had direct relationships with. Listen, John Lewis used to come to my class. John Lewis taught in my class. I was a student. John Lewis is my influence. Maynard Jackson, the mayor of Atlanta, is my influence. My influences are different. I'm HBCU. So everything I'm doing with the understanding that we can do it differently and get a better result. And there's some things in the city of Buffalo that we can do better. For example, I'm talking about the significance and development of NPUs, neighborhood planning units. You want to talk about the city of Buffalo? NPUs eliminate that progress in terms of dealing with just block clubs. An NPU expands itself into regions. Developing 5 NPUs throughout the city of Buffalo based on income and race addresses the issue regarding segregation in the city of Buffalo. it addresses the issue regarding income in the city of Buffalo. I heard one candidate a couple of days ago talking about they're going to make low income housing for people on the east side of Buffalo.
Wow.
And these homes will require your yearly income of $40,000.
That's
Real
cool.
cute.
Real
But the reality is this: the average income on the city of Buffalo is $30,000 per year.
Mhm.
So already you've excluded from that process. I'm talking about income-based housing, where there's dedicated housing to people that are poor with low incomes, being subsidized with the HOPE program, an HUD program that will provide vouchers in order to allow people to become home renters and not home owners and not just renters. We want to move people from different income brackets into the same community areas where we can change the dynamic in regards to socialization and community development. Income-based housing process allows for the development of neighborhoods, but also community development in terms of recruiting businesses to come in and play an active role within their community. I'm talking about the Broadway market becoming an international market based on what I saw at West Side Bazaar. And I will admit that Buffalo has some of the best food I've ever had before, anywhere I've gone, and I've traveled. And the thing is, I believe we can use the Broadway market as a multi-purpose building of maintaining this integrity in terms of having a market, but also having office space and commercial development taking place within that facility.
And that place has had so many dollars pushed there to the
Poured into
Broadway
this thing.
market, and I see so much failure came out of money being pushed there constantly. When you got a Kmart right across the street, let's invest in something else besides the Broadway market, because it seems to me that some people is endowed into the Broadway market.
But if you continue to build poor neighborhoods and poor communities, that's the result you would get. I mean, when you're in poor communities, then you have also in those particular communities poor schools. Now, the issue is, are we able to create income-based neighborhoods where people of middle class, moderate income, and higher class are living within the same parameters, within the same communities? That has serious implication in relationship to business development and in relationship to education. And when we're talking about the city of Buffalo, you have to go back to education, because there was a particular point in time where people, you could go to public school and get cosmetology training.
Yeah.
You could go to public school and get nurse training.
BTC.
Now you find yourself going out. The last time I saw a program, one of my nieces, she was going out to a place real interested in cosmetology. She's going out to somewhere in suburbia, Peter Piccolo or something. They were training people in the city of Buffalo to do that. We should have plumbers that are training within the public school system.
Listen, Burger, Emerson, Seneca, McKinley, all these schools have trade programs.
I'm suggesting that the city of Buffalo,
the
city of Buffalo developed a relationship with the Buffalo Board of Education in terms of creating the Office of Educational Engagement, where the city of Buffalo will increase the amount of money that they are allowing within the Buffalo public school system, supporting our superintendent, not taking over the school system. Because if you can't manage a city, how are you going to manage the Board of Education and the city? But by creating this Office of Engagement, it allows the Buffalo Board of Education to be more active in a role in terms of educating and perpetuating this idea that we're working collectively together. Because at this particular point in time, we do not.
No.
Honestly, I think as far as everything that I'm hearing, I think it's just different from what I've heard, and not in a bad way. But it's just very refreshing to hear a candidate who, like I said, first and foremost, like I'm staying on that. Like, it is just crazy. Like you said, it is crazy to me. The most resistance I ever hear about someone being pro something is from those people. It's always fine until someone, when the South Buffalo gets plowed down to the streets, everybody happy. But then when I just say, hey, maybe we should get the plows on the east side, oh, y'all good. And now I'm the villain. Now I'm crying for stuff that we don't need. So first and foremost, like, props to standing on that, because that's what we need to hear. I think when you have a candidate you don't feel like stands for nothing, you don't feel like they're gonna stand for me. If you're not gonna ride hard for the east side, you're not gonna ride hard for me. To your point, it is one of those things where it's a domino effect. I know I'm gonna tell it to my mom be yelling at me. The city lives and dies together. And so we could look and say it's 4 different parts of the same city, but when the east side goes better, we wonder why it's hard to find housing and on the west side. Because where else you gonna go? When the east side a little better, then the west side's a little better. When the east and west side are a little better, then the south gets a little better. And everybody can rise as a collective, but we have to really be able to break down the problems into achievable steps. And the biggest problem that I see with politicians is everything, like I said, it sounds good because they recognize that with bigger problems, when you kind of compartmentalize them to fix them, it's going to make people feel like you're not representing or riding for them. But to me, the best thing I want a politician to do is be truthful, not say what makes me feel good, not say what makes me feel included. Right now, for the first year, I'm not on the forefront. That's fine. Let me know that. But I think it's refreshing to hear someone who understands or has a plan to say that this is how we fix the city strategically, piece by piece. And it's not something where it's all saying that the government is going to come in and fix it. Like we talk about all the time on the show. It starts at the home door. It starts at the community door. Neighborhood planning units, that sounds like a great idea because that's what we talk about all the time. All the time. Trade jobs, you see where I work at. I work at Northland. You know I believe in it. And so it's just interesting. It's refreshing to hear that because I think that until we, and I'm really going to take that moment versus movement, until we understand the difference between the two, that it's not going to be easy. It's not gonna happen without no money. Like until hearing someone who's honest about these things, it's gonna take effort, discipline, commitment, and cost. But being honest about that to say that if this is the change that we want, the city that I want to be a part of, this is what it's gonna require, and then you can make a decision as to whether it's the change that you really want. But after hearing this, like that it's refreshing as a young person. That's the best way I could say it, because you just don't hear a lot of candidates, especially on some of these bigger issues, that have understood and spent enough time in the community to understand that, no, I don't want more just low income housing. I don't want to be low income.
Period.
Like I don't need better, always better judicial systems. I don't want to be in the law system at all. I don't want necessarily, like, I want options. I want educational options. I want to be a home owner. I don't want to be a renter forever. These are some of the things that I think is just very different and interesting to hear. And my only last question would be, when you look at certain when you look at like that meeting, for example, and how it went down, when you look at some of the red tape, because I understand that I probably don't even understand. I understand that in the political sphere, there are probably deals and agreements and things that are responsibilities on you that I could never imagine why the mayor does some of the things that they do. But my last question to you would just be, do you think Buffalo values transparency over comfort? Meaning, if you are mayor, if you do have to say something that's going to ruffle some feathers or hurt people, do you think the city will be able to support you knowing that your intention was honest and authentic? Or do you think that we're a city that's so quick to point fingers that we prevent people from stepping up out of fear of being judged?
I think it's a city that people are afraid to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I think it's a city that if you tell the truth, there are repercussions associated with your actions. And I think as a community, people will tell you behind the screen that you're right, but they will also tell you that they can't do that because they're concerned what could happen. People are worried about their jobs.
Yeah.
People are worried about, how I'm gonna pay the bills,
Security.
how I'm gonna take care of my family. And I can understand that. But it has been this way ever since I was born and before then. And the question is, are we going to be so afraid that we won't fight for the generations to come? And I'm saying, no,
James Payne for mayor.
I'm fighting. No pain, no gain.
That's what it is. Oh, yes. Oh, we were good, man. We were good. No pain, no gain.
I like
Yes.
that. I like that.
Yes.
I like that. I definitely. I'm about to say. I'm gonna swing my mic back over here, but I just want to say again, I appreciate you for saying that, because it's refreshing to hear someone who's just honest as to what it's going to be. I don't need the hot dog and the handshake. I need the truth, and I appreciate you for being willing to deliver that.
Thank you.
I ain't said, Diane, say something on
Yes.
that mic, please.
Yes, good morning. And I'm here giving my support to James Payne 100%. I've always known him to be a very fair and honest man, very transparent, very good educator, and this young man has said everything that I was gonna say. He hit the nail right on the head, that we don't need hot dogs. We don't need a morning breakfast
Mhm,
or a concert. You
mhm.
know, we need somebody who's gonna represent us and watch our backs and not stab us in the backs. I don't want to hear that it's a done deal.
Mhm.
Nothing is a done deal until it's a done deal. Mr. Anderson, you was there with the Hopewell
Yeah.
business. We was told it was a done deal. I told him, you're not bringing nobody in here. If the zip code 15 need an opioid clinic, why are you busting them in from Salamanca?
Mhm.
You know, so we don't need them. We ain't got enough for them. You bringing them in here. You don't know if you're bringing in child molesters or rapists or criminals, you know, and kids stand on the bus stop. But our representative told us, oh, well, it's pretty much a done deal. I stood up in that church and told them people, look, y'all better not listen to this man. Because
That's
this
right.
is not,
Go ahead,
this is
tell
not
them.
a done deal until it's a done deal.
Everyone said it. Not
And
only the council person,
Yeah.
the state assembly person, the
Right.
state
So like the 33
it was
Senate.
the
project.
council person
Yeah.
that said it was a done
Right.
deal.
Done deal.
And
When
for
he
33
see we
project.
wasn't going to give up, then
You know,
he joined
they-
the fight. But you know, and
Look,
that's what I'm saying.
you talk-
Don't
got a tiger
Don't believe the
talk
hype.
right now.
Say it now.
You
Don't
got
believe the hype.
don't be calling yourself watching our back when you mainly stabbing us in the back. I don't want to hear about a meeting 3 days before the meeting, right before you have it. That don't give us time to
Well, that just
get
happened with this
prepared.
caucus just
Right.
took
That's
place
right.
because they pushed it out that this meeting was taking place, and this is the second meeting they had. Now, how many meetings do they need to have before the public get notified to come in to see how the
You
process
know
is
what?
being done?
When you know, that's when we should know.
That's right.
I don't want to hear about something that you like when they coming in about the plaza up there doing
Yeah.
this. This just didn't happen. You've been discussing this, and when you was discussing it, you should have let the community know. I've been on Kensington. August will be 40 years, and I got more time behind me than I got in front of me, and I done put all of my money and everything into my home, and now you gonna come in and bring me some mess. I'm not having it. Yes, I'm very outspoken. I don't care. They say, oh, she's aggressive. Yes, I am aggressive about my life. I want a mayor that's going to you represent us good. You don't have to worry about Diana Goodwin backing you because I will back you.
She's
Yeah.
a tiger.
And not only that, I'm gonna bring my friends to back
The
you.
church.
Yes, and I have a son. He said, Mom, I'm not gonna vote. I said, oh yeah, you can get your ass up. You
Oh,
gonna
no,
vote.
you can say it.
You
Don't
blink,
hear
blink,
it.
blink, blink,
You're gonna vote,
Yeah,
you know, because if
Young
a no
folks.
vote is a vote.
Young
I
folks gotta
tell
get
him, you know,
Right.
and he's 39 years old.
See
He
that?
was born in that house. And why should I have to pick up and leave and go somewhere else and start all over again? I don't have that kind of time, you know. So yes, we need.
You speaking to a strong leader. Y'all hearing a strong leader. And I'm cutting her off because we're getting ready to get out.
Okay.
And I know y'all want more, but we're going to have Diane Goodwin back because she's a lion. Look, she was on the point about what happened at the University Plaza, and everybody said it was a done deal, but her regard and those with her pushed back.
Yeah.
Ain't no done deal, and nothing is a done deal until the people say
Brought
it's
us
a
some
done deal.
cheap popping pizza.
East Side Coalition, keep fighting,
What's the contact?
keep fighting.
I want to before we get out, I want to give you a chance for people who want to support you, get in touch. What would be the best avenues to contact you, support you?
Diana Goodwin, 716-465-8306.
So you the campaign.
Oh yes,
465.
hey, I'm the scheduler. 465-8306.
All right.
Okay,
And I'm from Alabama. We don't worry about repercussions, you know.
Gotcha. Is there? And then as we
I want to say,
anything you want to say as we leave out?
you know, thank you again for having me here today. I want to say to the people of the East Side Coalition to continue fighting. You don't have an environmental impact statement yet, so therefore you must continue to fight for the community because we know that people of color have always been jeopardized in order to allow people to advance their agenda and to make money off of us. So continue, East Side Coalition. Good work.
It's not a done deal, folks.
Until it's